Been looking forward to this spot with Bill King ever since I saw the outcome of the chaos in the cantina.
Oh, no.
We'll get into the college football stuff here with Bill in a moment, because out of all the people that we asked opinions about the chaos in the cantina, the one person who does know Ty Richardson well, because he worked with him at Nashville Sports Radio for a while, he used the term, Ty's sneaky. He is sneaky. I think Bill called the upset when it happened. And to him, maybe it isn't that much of an upset. But, Bill, you might still be upset with SmackDown for his lack of competing.
Well, I would have bet on the big man, but I was just laying some precaution there. Ty, you look at him, you don't think he's going to eat fast and all that, but he is obsessed. He's always tweeting some kind of meal, some kind of place he's going to. So that might indicate he's more of a pro than we think he is.
Oh, he was definitely a pro Saturday. I'll be the first to admit I probably took him a little bit lightly, but Bill, I have never in my life, and I'm 27, fixed to be 28 here in a month, I've never seen a human eat tacos the way that boy was eating tacos Saturday.
Now, at some point, is there video on Twitter of this, or is there proof?
Sadly, there is video.
It's being sent to the Radio Hall of Fame because it's really that good. And I put it on the same level as, Pitt beating West Virginia to knock them out of a national title chance. Arkansas defeating number 1 LSU in Baton Rouge. Okay,
it's okay now.
Buster Douglas over Mike Tyson.
Okay.
You know what upset we really need, Bill King? We all badly need Northwestern to beat Ohio State in what's going to be a Big Ten championship game. Are we all Northwestern fans now?
That game will be over the very first time somebody kicks off. That's how one-sided that game will be. That game's not worth watching.
Well, what do you make out of this deal with the Big Ten? Because, I liken them to a relationship partner that you just can never trust what they say ever again. We saw it from the start of the football season, even before the football season started, when camp started, when they tweet out a schedule. 2 days later, forget about the schedule, we're not going to play this year. Then all of a sudden, in a month after that, we're going to play, but we're going to play in a month. We're going to have this threshold of 6 games for a championship game. Oh, but now, by the way, since our best team can't play in that, we're going to change that up. I don't think any of us can trust the Big Ten ever again.
True, and we've talked about it a lot. This was expected. Now, would they do it if it was a brand like Northwestern that needed to tweak? No, I don't think they would. But the Buckeyes are the team in the league, the brand in the league, and we're talking about football, obviously, because that is the sport that matters the most. But let's not forget, to add to their foolishness, meaning the Big Ten and their lack thereof leadership, they don't want to be playing right now. They're not playing because everybody else is playing. They're playing because of lawsuits, and they did not want discovery because their chicanery would have been discovered, and it would have been bad. That's why they're playing. They had no intention. Matter of fact, their intention was to start the crash of the college football season because they knew they had the the Pac-12, and they hoped that might lead to, let's say, in the SEC succumbing, and it didn't happen. So they have been foolish and idiotic and buffoons from the very beginning, from at least August forward.
Yeah, I remember you likening it to they don't want the hood to be opened up so you can get a look at the engine. I remember you saying those exact words. So then what about the thought of a 6-0 Ohio State team making it to the college football playoff over potentially a 10-1 Notre Dame team or a one-loss Texas A&M team? How can you justify? How can that be justified?
If the Notre Dame loss is reasonable against Clemson, that won't be taken from Notre Dame. And if Florida loses to Alabama, which I expect they do, then Florida's not getting in. A&M's not getting that slot. Ohio State. So you're going to have all the chalk. Under that scenario, you'd have Clemson, Notre Dame, Alabama, Ohio State. So I think it sounds to me, you got to remember the guy speaking for the committee on that show on Tuesday nights, which I didn't even watch last night, is Gary Barnum. He's the Iowa guy. And he is pro Ohio State. Now, I know there's not just a vote there. There's a committee, but I think he's speaking for them. And I'm conflicted, guys, because you do have the game consideration, but I'm also convinced Ohio State's a top 4 team. And I do know this. This came up on the show this morning. If the SEC found themselves in the same predicament, and Alabama had 5-6 wins, they'd be squawking from the heavens down here. Mm-hmm. You got to admit, man, it'd be nuts down here. So I'm not as bad about it as some others are.
Bill King here with us on Halftime. Bill, let's switch the subject. We'll keep it with SEC football, but I want to get your thoughts, too. Shane Beamer, the new head coach of the South Carolina Gamecocks. What'd you make of the hire with South Carolina, do you think this is the right hire for the Gamecocks?
I'm conflicted here, too, because I know Shane, and I like Shane, and he doesn't have the resume for this job. It's a tough job no matter what. They weren't going to go get well, now they've in the past they've had some home run hits with Spurrier and Holtz, but those days are over. I don't see anything like that. So anybody they get was going to have to be some sort of a reach, and I don't think under Ray Tanner and the presidents there they could have ever gotten Hugh Freeze past the committee, past the interview. They just don't play that crap. Those are military kind of guys. So it was going to be a reach, but this is a guy who has never been a coordinator. Now, he's a good recruiter. I know about him there, and he's a good dude. He'll say all the right things, and I hope the best for him, but they're not going to change anything at South Carolina with this hire.
I tend to agree with you. Hopefully all the success will work out for him there, but you never know what you get because you're in such a tough spot, I guess, because every year you got Clemson, and Clemson ain't falling off the wagon anytime soon as far as their ranking in the ACC and everything with the National League. When you look at the schedule coming up this weekend for college football, particularly here in the SEC, the matchup, and I don't think it's necessarily going to be a good one, but I'm intrigued just for what could possibly happen. Do you think there's any way, in God's good name, that Vanderbilt could sneak up and beat Tennessee?
Oh, yeah. Tennessee's awful. I mean, you talk about capitulation. I don't know what Tennessee's doing. I figured if 10 games, they'd probably go 6-4, and they're probably going to end up, 2 or 3 wins, what they're going to end up with. Now, Vanderbilt doesn't have anything left either. They're down. They've had a lot of opt-outs. The coach is gone. They've got controversy on the side. But I think, look, guys, if you ask me about Tennessee playing Arkansas Auto Diesel College, I'd say probably take the Diesel College right now. Tennessee is in awful shape.
How long do you think we see Alabama starters on Saturday here in Fayetteville?
Oh, I think Nick. Think about Nick now. Nick, at least halftime. At least, because he doesn't want to. Here's the thing about coaches you got to remember: they don't like to get out of sync. And you set people, and then you say we're just going to flip a switch. That scares coaches. You'll see him on into the third quarter probably a bit, but then you got the other balance guys of getting people hurt. So, but I don't. Coaches always get spastic over, okay, if we've got all these plans to play the young guys, and then if things go bad and you got to put the starters back in and then they play poorly, you've lost your momo. So at that work, coaches are spastic like that. They're paranoid like that. So you always have to remember.
All right, let me see. I want to ask one more question about a coach, and I'm not quite sure which direction to go in. I want to talk coaches that have done a great job or coaches that have done a poor job. Let's go in the negative direction here for a brief moment here. Which of these coaches gets to keep his job when the season is over? Jim Harbaugh, Tom Herman, Jeremy Pruitt.
Pruitt's not getting fired. I don't think Herman is either.
What is it about Herman? Because of Texas, I mean, there's so much smoke there. Is it monetary concerns? Is it pandemic concerns? Or is it a matter like I hear like in Michigan, it's like, well, who are we going to go get? They're not going to get Urban Meyer. Who are you going to go get? They're not quite sure.
You're not going to get Urban Meyer because they have talked to him. They've offered him all the money. It's not about the payout. I don't think Texas has got as much money as anybody on the planet. I think it's what's the alternative. And Not that one game should matter, but they did put up almost 70 on Kansas State. Whether it's good or bad, I mean, that does buy them a breath. They could make a move, but I just don't know if they're as hurried as everybody thinks. And Harbaugh, they're discussing an extension with him. That won't be the same money. So I think either he gets an extension with a very tight leash or he leaves for the NFL.
Interesting. So what about on the other side? Who's done the best job in the SEC this year that you can see? And, I mean, it's so easy to go with Saban, of course, but, I mean, there's reasons why. You know, I mean, I think any coach that's taken his team through this pandemic and is undefeated, that's got to stand for something. Talent nonetheless. I think Saban's still done an incredible job.
He has. What happens, we all know in any sport, is the guy that wins and continues to win gets taken for granted. He's winning. You know, he's got all these players. Well, who started? Who built it up? He inherited a garbage heap from Mike Shula and had to fix all that and mend all that. But I think Pittman, there for a while, still may hang on to it. He's done a very good job. And most voters, when it comes to these items, like this story about the guy who did more with way less than anybody thought he would do.
Mm-hmm. I think you're right about that, Bill. Hey, we'll leave it there. Appreciate you as always. Have
Thank
a
you,
great
guys.
week.